Why did the creator Quincy Jones allow that to transpire? That's a good question. Yeah, because I think Carlton was textbook cooning.
Yeah.
That's a good example.
Good point.
I think sometimes he coons in real life too, if I'm not mistaken. That's a whole other stuff.
He's trying to get work.
So I have a couple of more here that I'm going to get to. How are we doing on time?
We're doing great on time.
We're doing okay. Okay. So Joseph, I don't see him on here. He says, "Why would an almighty?" Yeah, but as long as he's not like, yes, a boss, I do anything for.
When you're a soldier, that's what you do.
Okay, I ain't never been in the military, so I never been in the ROTC.
Yes, the boss, because he said so.
All right. Well, Al says the only coon that was recooned was the old school Hanna-Barbera cartoon character, Secret Squirrel.
Secret Squirrel. Very, very good.
Benny says, my question is, why aren't we being so hostile towards George Zimmerman and all the police that we know murdered unarmed black people and never met justice, but yet they're left out of the news, and are living normal lives now with no threat? Yeah, that's a good point, as we just said.
I can answer that.
Okay.
That's because the mothers and the families in those cases took settlements.
Okay, so true. The families did take settlements, but it's like, those aren't the only ones those are just the high profile people who have been, murdered. High profile because they got national attention, but there are everyday people who are facing those things. And he's right. We don't hold them to task. We get mad. Are they even still rioting in St. Louis?
No.
See, we get mad for a little bit, and then we stop rioting, and then we go on until till the next one happens.
What do we say all the time?
What you gonna do? That's true. And that's why the police officers and the courts and all these people saying, okay, how much is it going to cost? Let's write them a check.
Well,
make them go away.
We're going to go ahead and murder this girl or murder these people. And nothing's going to happen.
What we going to do? Yeah. We ain't going to do nothing?
Yeah.
But walk away.
We own the coroner. We owe this. We own that. Wait, what you going to do? We're saying that it was an accident.
We need to mobilize. And so Charles says, yes, empower each other to start and run our own businesses. That's what we got to do. There is no other way around this. We have begged for years for the powers that be or white people to include us. Please, give us high-paying jobs. And they have to some degree. That was to kind of take away the attention from the civil rights and segregation and all that. Let's give a few of these Negroes some jobs, some good jobs, and they'll stop focusing on unity as much. And then so Samuel, what's happening? This is Mr. Farrakhan. Is having a press conference Thursday, 9 a.m. To Mr. Trump. Ooh, I'm going to watch that. That's Thursday, NOI.org. Okay, so we'll have to remember that. And you also say Kwame was never a coon.
Okay.
And Charles said, laugh out loud. Yes, we can. Yes, we clean our own clocks when we misstep. Yeah. When black people do something wrong, we take them to task. But to Benny's point, it's like, well, when white people wrong, it's just like, oh, I'm mad at you.
It's okay.
It's been 5 minutes. Let's go. I mean, the Charleston, the guy who ran up there, Dylan, whatever his name is, Roof, went in there and killed the people in church. They got up and did a press conference, said we forgive him. In fact, we don't even want him to face the death penalty, which they gave to him anyway. But why do you guys need to be the one to say we don't want him? He killed your family while they were worshiping in church, and you don't want him to.
Can I ask you a question? Why is it that when a white person goes in there and kills all these people, it's not a terrorist act, it's a mental situation?
Because white people wrote the laws that were never designed for us. And so, or anybody else who is not white. When white people go and do heinous things, well, they had some issues. They were
family problems. His father wasn't in his life. Yeah, oh my God. And we should be.
Right. But when your black ass do something, they go back into your great granddaddy's history.
Right.
And then so, Chris, you say, what up? A little off topic, but a friend dropped a happy Marine Corps birthday / happy veterans comment yesterday, but linked it to Trump being president. This person could not understand. Let's see. You say he could not. Oops, let me go back. Could not understand why I said Trump had nothing to do with either, nor was unworthy of being mentioned in the same breath. What the hell does Trump have to do with either? Trump's tax cut will be most beneficial to the top 1%.
Exactly.
He said 0.1% of Americans. Our middle class will receive about $1,000 to $1,500 per tax breaks. He says also high tax states like California will no longer be able to write off state taxes on their federal claims. Yeah, I read that too. So there will be a break, but it's more a trickle down. That's what you were saying too. Yeah, I don't know what that comment was about. Happy Marine Corps Day and birthday. Was it Trump's birthday or something?
Well, it was the Marine Corps' birthday.
I know it was the Marine Corps' birthday.
I don't know if Trump's birthday was.
I don't. Maybe he was a Trump fan, or he or she, and they want to just give credit to Trump.
Because he was the best Marine of all time. He was the best Navy guy. He's the best at everything.
I don't think he went.
No, he didn't.
Oh, okay.
He's going to claim that.
Right.
He's the best at everything. He's the commander-in-chief.
Yeah, some people just want to throw Trump in there. They think he's a great guy, great president, and all that. To me, it's really weird, too, Chris.
And I just want to say this for those that are listening. A commander-in-chief has nothing to do with regular civilians. So when
which is what Trump is, a commander-in-chief.
He's the commander-in-chief of the armed forces.
Right.
That has nothing to do with regular civilians. When you're a civilian, you're saying, well, he's our commander-in-chief. He's not your commander-in-chief. He's your president. Hey,
teach me something, because
Yeah. Right. So I just want to clarify that when they try to use that.
Right.
You're a civilian. His commander-in-chief title has nothing to do with it.
Okay, got it. Well, that's good to know. And Al says, oh, gosh, Jimmy Walker stopped cooning starting in season 4 through 6, good times after the Esther role left because she didn't like all the cooning.
Yes, that's true.
And that is true.
That's when he started hanging
Al
out
was
with
always
Big Daddy.
joking, yeah. But she did. She said, you know what? Enough is enough. Me and Al was actually watching a documentary on Norman Lear. He is the one that wrote all of those shows, including Good Time. And
Maude, all of them.
And they showed a clip of her when she was letting him know, I'm not with the cooning.
Right.
I can't with JJ and all this cooning and acting a fool. That's not who I am.
Right. No, and I understand. And the thing is, they didn't really think that the show actually started off seriously. And what happened was Jimmy Walker became the breakout star.
Right.
And that's when they started writing a little bit more.
Making him cool.
Yeah. To where he was more of the breakout
star. Back then we laughed and thought it was funny, but as you got, more awake and aware, like, oh yeah, he was cooning. And Kip says, Donovan right like a mother effer. So I don't know what you was right about, but you was right. And Charles says, military blacks do not coon.
Yes, they do.
I think Kip was saying you were coon about you were right about the cooning and the black people cooning. But Charles says, no. Black people in the military do not coon.
Yes, they do.
All right.
But again, this is everybody's opinion, so we could agree to disagree. But as a military officer who was an enlisted person as well,
you was cooning?
You will coon.
Okay. All right. Well, let's see what Chris says. He says there's no such thing as trickle down economics. It's more of the same. Monopolies, concentration of wealth and power. Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
Y'all know all about this tax stuff, and I'm learning, because it's not really sexy.
Because you ain't paying taxes, that's why. No,
it ain't really sexy to me, so. But it should be, I guess, right? I got to be in the know.
Yes.
And then Charles says, I followed orders, gave and stood my ground when I needed.
I'm sure you did.
Billy says tax cuts doesn't matter until you become a business owner. A lot of us fall for this cry for the middle class as so the politicians cater to. But in fact, the majority of us are actually not middle class. I think you're saying Seymour. We are actually the working poor, and they are not campaigning toward us. Oh, absolutely. They campaign toward us when it comes to getting the vote. Hey, sure. Vote for me. Again, Trump fooled a lot of people into thinking, I'm just like you.
What do you got to lose?
Yeah, what do you got to lose? I hate Obama too, and this Obamacare and all this other stuff got to go, and most of those people needed it, right? Yeah. And then so Hannafy says he went against the White House after Bush rejected affirmative action. Oh, you're talking about Colin Powell. He went against the White House. Okay, so I guess you.
No, wrong.
Wrong.
And like I said, this is everybody's opinion. My idea of cooning might be totally different than Charles.
So you don't think that Hannah was saying?
Yeah, no, I'm talking about when I'm just finding an example of Charles, so I don't want to act like we're fighting or disrespecting.
No.
My idea might be a little bit different.
Yeah, it might be a little. Yeah, I think if you clarified it a little bit. I don't think Donovan is saying that y'all was a bossa ends. Or was you?
I'm a major, so if my enlisted person and I want him to tell me what I want to hear, I'm going to get what I want to hear.
All right, now.
That's as simple as that. So if that's your idea of, it's all.
Well, I'm thinking like a step and fetch it type thing and selling your people out.
You have a few. I'm not saying all of us in general. You have a few, but but I just want to make it, like I'm trying to be disrespectful.
No.
It's all about interpretation.
Got you. And so Benny says the Goldmans took settlements too. Yes, they did. In fact, they sued OJ civilly for a bunch of money. Now, whether they got it, I don't know.
They got less than 1%.
Yeah, they got a little bit, but they're gonna be mad forever, which they should be, And so I'm gonna get to your other comments in a minute. I'm gonna read the other stuff on here because I promised I would get everybody's comment that I could, and then I'm gonna address the other ones. Okay, so the other topic. Now this is kind of a little bit different from what we usually talk about. Alfred, he wants to know: is there something wrong with a man taking the woman's last name in marriage? What are the rules? Okay, so now ordinarily it's traditional for a woman to take the man's last name. Now the reasons, some of the reasons, this is per Huffington Post. I did some research, believe it or not, on this. It says reasons that some men take the woman's last name in marriage. Some hate their last name to make it easier if the woman already has kids. So let's say she has kids and they all have the same last name. Instead of everybody changing their last name, I'll just change my last name to yours, which would be kind of awkward if that was her husband's or ex-husband's last name. But and then some to disown their family, or if they were disowned by their family, so they want to change a new identity. Other one says because they don't want anything to do, or they don't see anything wrong with changing their last name to their wife's last name. Now, there used to be legal reasons. Women were forbidden to keep their last names. A short handful, decades ago, rather, is what the article is saying, under the premise that the wedded couple were viewed as one person by law. The one person was the husband whose identity superseded the wife's. He was a sole person who could vote, hold property, go to law, etc. In fact, it was only in 1972 that every state in the United States legally allowed a woman to use her maiden name as she pleased. Okay, so the question is, and I'm going to read the other comments, is there something wrong with a man taking his wife's last name opposed to giving her his?
If it's a credit issue, no.
It's a credit issue. If her credit is better than yours, yes, Mr. Brown.
Yeah, if it's a credit issue, no problem.
Hey, Sonia, you say Sammy Davis Jr., when he was still alive, said, I quote, I spent my life trying to be white. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I read that book.
I read the book too, but I don't remember that, but maybe I missed out. Okay, it says, and that if I knew that being black was cool, I wouldn't have wasted my time. He was referring to, let's see, he was referring to the pro-black pride era in the 60s. I wouldn't classify him as a complete coon, maybe a semi-coon. Laugh out loud. I think he came from a tough era and was trying to fit in where he could get in. R.I.P. Sammy. Yes, because he was hanging out with the Rat Pack.
And remember, he married that white woman. He had a lot of backlash.
Yes.
On that. And
what was her name? Kim somebody.
Yeah, Novak. No,
Kim Novak. It was Novak.
And I think he really loved her. And he had to let her go. Because, when he's married this white woman, he couldn't get work.
And she was a popular actress, too.
Very, very
yeah, so I do remember that. I actually read his autobiography or whatever it was. But yeah, I could kind of see that back then. It was like, okay, because he had the conch, is what they would call it, straightening his hair, and marrying a white woman was big to do back then. But like you said, when the 60s came in, it was, all right to be black. So I can get why he would have some regret. So I do agree with you on that comment. And then so Charles says, even though most goods and services are produced by whites, we still need to market to our own.
Absolutely.
We always need to be marketing to our own first and foremost.
Why I do not understand a $12 billion hair industry and we can't get any part of that.
Well, a lot of it is because we're a little bit dead to that as far as shopping and doing business with our own. Other thing is there's not a whole lot of black shops out there, although there are some. I was in Lancaster this week with my dad and we went to a black-owned beauty supply. He needed some magic shave. Some of you guys still shave with the magic shave.
That paste, that
and he was
paste.
like, take me to get some magic shave. And I don't know where he originally wanted to go. He says, you know what, forget that. Make a left. There's a black-owned beauty supply up here. Let's go over there. So I took him over there. In fact, I took pictures and I need to post them. I just forgot. Black-owned beauty supply in Lancaster. The other thing is that a lot of these black beauty supplies are being locked out by the Koreans. They got a lock on the market, and so they're kind of hating a little bit on locking out the inventory.
$12 billion. And we're the major people that are consuming the hairs.
Absolutely. So. And then Hannah says, we have to support existing black businesses first. Their prosperity will inspire others. Yeah, absolutely. We just got to do it. Any and every opportunity we get, we need to do that. We need to go and be with our own first. I actually put up another video that I did about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
That's kind of talking about that. It's weird that I saw it.
And we have videos of that. But I have a quick question. I recently was in Houston, and what was the main thing I was complaining about?
Strip clubs?
Well, no.
Oh.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was. Wait, by the way, I was doing an undercover investigative report on why the strip club industry is dying down there.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, that's another thing. But no. What's the main thing that I talked about when I was down there?
Attitudes.
The attitudes of the people. I would rather spend my money at the.
So Donovan saying that he was in Houston a couple days ago that a lot of the black people in some of these businesses have attitudes. He said some of the women. He said they got mean mugging and their fists are balled.
I mean, it's like they woke up that. I mean, it was like 9 a.m. How the day just started. How could
their fists are balled and like, can I help you?
Yeah, I mean. So I understand what people say. We got to start our black businesses, but we also got to know how to do business.
We do, and I agree with you. And so Charles says, "Yeah, kill his ass." Who needs to be killed? Because some of these comments are coming in later. So it's, not you, not me.
No. This is your
and Chris says Trump is president. He's a sorry excuse for chief. What is it?
Commander-in-Chief.
Oh, commander-in-chief. Okay, got it. Bastard didn't even serve. Got a deferment for a damn bone spur.
5
to
deferments.
avoid Vietnam. Effing coward. Yeah, that's a coward. Yeah, he's telling everybody else what to do. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if a draft is coming.
No.
But you know what? I've been hearing commercials on the radio saying, men, if you're 18 and older and you haven't enlisted, it's against the law.
No. That's selective service.
I know, but why are they now playing these ads more
Because
often?
A lot of people, because it's a volunteer military, doesn't if you're being raised by a single mom or and you just haven't served nobody from Vietnam, you don't know about it because you haven't heard about it. You're not even thinking about the military, but it is a law. You have to men and women now. The law's changed, so women now are subjected to it.
Well, Trump starting all this mess with people. Shoot, there's going to be a draft. And Al says TV One just did an unsung story of the Jeffersons. The late Isabel Sanford and Sherman told the producer that they didn't want any characters to coon. They only wanted the show to be a parody, not a disgrace. And soon thereafter, she won an Emmy for her role, which is why it ran from 74 to 85. Wow, that long?
Yeah, it did.
Dang. That's crazy. But, and you're right. A lot of those actors were not asleep. They understood that they needed to work. However, we're just not going to be up in here butt dancing just for a check. And so kudos to those people who are like, yeah. And they also knew that they made the show. The shows were obviously very popular, 11 years. They knew the shows were very popular. So, yeah, they knew the power that they had, and which is what we need to start doing, exercising our power. And that is primarily with our dollars. And Hannafy say, I'm a Marine. The extent of my cooning was not fucking crackers up. Wow. So he said he had to restrain himself.
Yeah,
okay?
Absolutely. But, again, we're all soldiers. So you're going to do what they tell you to do. And if I want a certain outcome, I'm going to get that certain outcome.
Well, maybe not cooning. Maybe just doing survival.
No. I'm not saying everybody's cooning. So don't generalize.
No, they're not. But
there are coons in the military.
All
yes,
right.
well,
there's coons all across the street.
Yeah.
So okay. So Chris, you say some do, some don't. Yeah. Cooning is a choice. The individual decides what is more important. So he's saying, and I should let you guys know too. Chris and Donovan are thick as thieves. They're really good friends. So they gonna say
go
the
back to
same
high school.
thing.
We go back to high school. So.
And Chris says, a man is a junior officer. Ain't nobody studying a major. D, quit tripping.
That's true.
He said you getting high on your own supply.
But again, he's absolutely right. But again, as a former enlisted person, I didn't, take too much stuff.
And he also says, why would he? I don't know what that was in reference to. I'm going to read these comments a little faster so I don't forget. Okay. And then Al says, question, can a white person be called a coon? If so, they would be woofing only because they sell wolf tickets. That's actually a good question.
Yes.
I think we talked about this once. They're actually called, if they're cooning, the opposite of supporting white stuff. In some cases, they call them nigger lovers.
Right.
So I guess, but that's pretty funny. And Christopher, he says, if a woman wants to keep her name, more power to her. But taking her name, stop it. So you say you ain't doing it. I mean, a lot of men wouldn't do it. I mean, I wouldn't ask my man to take you. Listen, you need to be a culture. You gonna take my? To me that would be weird. I'm more of a traditionalist, I guess.
Well, put it like this. Let's think about it like this. I'm gonna marry into a a rich family. Let's say Trump ain't rich. Yeah, Trump ain't rich, but hey, if I gotta,
you'll be a Trump, Donald Trump.
Yeah,
Donovan Trump.
Yeah, if if that's what you got to do to get to the money.
Maybe you was cool in the military. Al says, I wouldn't take your last name because I always scream your first name.
Lord, Hammer, that was TMI. TMI. TMI.
Charles says, black manufacturers for hair care products are far and few now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But again, that's because they're being locked out of a lot of these, or the hair. That's what really black women buy is the hair. Right. We buy the Brazilian, yaki. Not me. This is synthetic.
It's the same as the tennis shoes.
If it gets next to a match, it's going to shrivel up like plastic.
But it's the same thing as the tennis shoes. We're locked out of
the we're locked out. But I mean, we got $1.3 trillion coming in out of our hands and pockets every year. So we got the money. We just need to stop being silly when it comes to our money. I mean, plain and simple. It's just like there is no magic pill that we need to take. We just need to stop doing that. And then so I say, I hope Pop didn't use that stinky magic shade because that shit needs to be discontinued. And he's been using it since I can remember as a small child. And yes, it's horrible. It smells terrible.
Horrible.
I don't ever remember him using anything else, but he wanted me to take him to the Black Beauty Supply. He was vehement about it to go get it. And so he says, you know what?
All them ingrown hairs because it just burns off the outside hair and the hair turns into their face.
Yeah, that's why a lot of black men use it because they can't shave. That's what I heard. Yeah. I never use it. And Charles says, I was talking about the man who shot up the church. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Dylan Roof. Then they actually are putting him to death. He did get awarded, I guess you can say, the death penalty, I think, this past week. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the family was like, we forgive him. In fact, we don't want him to have the death penalty and all this other nonsense. And so, I agree. I mean, he didn't have a problem. He was unapologetic about doing it. So, and then Samuel says, that was good. That was and is a good question. Maybe because in white supremacy America, the story is not told of reformed coons. There was a time when people acted house Negro, quote, but were really field Negroes. Mm-hmm. Well, maybe they did what they had to do. I don't know, maybe for survival. I understand that because that's kind of the whole Uncle Tom story. Mm-hmm. A lot of people run around calling people Uncle Toms, but it was a little bit more to it. He helped black people, but he was cooning too for survival, and so it was kind of a a double-edged sword.
That's why I follow Uncle Ruckus.
Oh, that's why you follow Uncle Ruckus and teaches don't trust those new niggas over there. That's right. That's right. That's what you do when you see me in the neighborhood.
I suffer from reverse vitiligo.
Oh God. And Benny saying, I would like to know if when we speak of cooning, are we willing to point out all forms of cooning? Yeah. I mean the forms that we may not mention because we are probably a part of it. Ooh, like I consider cooning, let's see. Oops, what'd I do? Hold on, let me go back. I always be pressing stuff. I consider cooning being knowingly anything we do to the detriment of our race for our own personal gain. Yes. And again, as I was saying, with Uncle Tom, that's kind of what he did. And he got, a bad reputation, even though he did help black people. But he was like, shit, it's about me too. But yeah, I agree.
The best coon I ever saw was Steven in
Django.
And Samuel Jackson was a mug in that.
I'm mad that he didn't win the Oscar.
I know.
He played that role. Yeah, he portrayed a lot of people we know too. But no, yeah, I agree. All aspects of cooning should be examined, because a lot of times you're right. We think of yes, salsa, let me tap dance, but we don't really think of maybe some of the subtle cooning, like on the job, like, oh yeah, boss, Beatrice and Boonquisha over there, I don't think they doing their job, selling out your fellow people. And Al says, all them black women with them bad attitudes working in those shops down here used to work in Walmart.
I hated the Walmart when I was there too because I couldn't believe you asking them a question and it's like they wanted to fight you. Damn. Scary.
Wow, y'all may need to stay out of Walmart. Start going to Target. And Hannah says, yep, nigga lovers. Yeah, that's what they call, I think they call white people who side with black people. You nigga lover. I think that's how they say it too. And Al says, in the military movie Shoulder Story with Denzel, the character CJ cooled and Sergeant Waters hated him. Okay, but was he really a coon?
No, I don't think he was.
Because I actually think that Sergeant Waters was the coon.
Exactly.
CJ was just a hometown,
Yeah, just a country boy.
Yeah, he was
just a country boy. We from Alabama.
Yeah, what he was mad because he was singing for the white people or whatever. He was, singing.
Strong buck. He was a prominent player.
So that's an excellent movie to actually do a discussion about, because I think Sergeant Waters was the real coon. He hated black people, whatever the case is, and
he hated that type of black person.
Right, but was CJ really a coon? That is a good question.
Right. Let's write that down. Write that down as a note.
Okay, and then so Hannah says, hyphen tops. Only if we doing it to match all the kids' names. Oh, okay. So you're saying he would hyphenate his name, or he thinks hyphenating a name is okay at best.
Okay.
If you're doing it for the kids. Now, I've seen the hyphen thing, but me, I'm like...
Either you're all in or you're not.
That's me. Okay. I'm all in. Because to me, it's like... And then the article also was saying how women shouldn't give up their last names. Because it's who they are. It connects them to their family. And, they've been writing it their whole lives. And so obviously it was from a feminist point of view why women shouldn't do it. But I'm like, I'm all in. I know who I am and who I used to be. Anybody who knows me and my family knows I'm a Coulter. Right. But from now, pretty soon they can call me Miss Jackson.
If you're nasty.
If you're nasty. Okay, and then so Samuel says the fact is that some acted that way around whites, but taught black liberation around there.
True.
Oh yeah,
very true.
It was about survival. We're gonna do what we gotta do. Especially during slavery shit. I'm not gonna just be going, buck wild and then getting lynched. Shit.
Well, can somebody explain to me why we are cooning? These younger kids are cooning to this very day.
They're seeing examples of it.
Yeah, their hair, they ain't combing their hair. I mean, they're looking like the prototypical pickaninny.
Well, I don't know. I think it's a lack
of pants looking like, something
because
from our game.
A lot of their daddies are sagging.
Yeah,
how you gonna tell the kids not to sag and you was a daddy to sagging? I mean,
but they don't know. But how do they know their daddy's sagging? They don't know who their daddy is.
You know what? Knock it off.
I'm sorry.
Al says, did y'all see the Chris Rock documentary movie when he went into the black beauty shops?
Yeah,
good hair.
That was good. Good hair.
That was actually a really good documentary, and I think it awakened a lot of black women. Now you'll see a lot of women say, I'm not on the creamy crack anymore, which is also known as perm and relaxer. A lot of black women stopped relaxing their hair. I did. I've been natural for 6 years. I was natural before that, but then I got sick of it and went to a perm. But so it's been 6 years now.
I've been watching a lot of 70s movies. I've been doing Pam Grier, the black exploitation stuff. And I'm telling you, them wearing their hair natural, there's just something sexy about that.
Well, I'll take it this way too. And then Al says, hey, love, let your audience know about the documentary about cooning you told me. And I did watch it. Step and Fetch It. Yes. Yeah. I watched the what was on YouTube. And I watched some of his stuff. And that is some cooning, y'all. If y'all want to know what cooning is, go YouTube, Step and Fetch It. It is just like the worst. It's the worst. And it's actually a pretty good example. Or a lot of these celebrities now, like the Steve Harveys, and them, they should know about Step and Fetch It because they're following along in the same path that he went to. But Good Hair was a good documentary. It was a good documentary. It did wake a lot of people up. And to see exactly, there's a lot of health problems with perming your hair, but a lot of women will latch on to it. And I know I was going to say, as far as the hair thing, a lot of women, and I always use Little Kim as an example. You guys have seen what Little Kim has done to herself. She has, she's wearing the blonde hair. She's totally rearranged her face and her body.
God, she is horrible.
But she says she did it because a lot of the men that she dated, and her father even, will call her ugly. She was dark and this, that, and the other. And every time she was cheated on, the man usually went to be with a woman who was white. And she said of European persuasion is what she said. And so a lot of women, I'm not blaming you guys, but a lot of women feel like, well, if I can't beat them, I might as well join them because you brothers, not you guys, but just the brothers out there, find white women or Asian women or Latin women more attractive. And so let me go get a weave with the long silky hair and, all this makeup and all sorts of stuff. So I can try to at least be appealing and sexy to you guys. That's what a lot of women will say.
That's
and if
the
they
playbook.
don't say
Is that the playbook answer?
It's not the playbook answer. A lot of women just like blonde and purple and pink hair.
No, and that's fine. Okay, if you're 23, 25, and you're a young person, I mean, you remember the 80s, the punk days, people were doing stuff with their hair. I can understand that. But when you're 50, 60, and you've got purple, pink, and blue hair.
Well, yeah, okay, that might be a little ridiculous. Like, come on
it's
back.
Like, come on now, yeah. So, like I said, if they like it, I love it.
Right.
It's just the bottom line is when you got a whole nap of hair. I'm talking about hair. And I don't mean that in that way, but a whole group of hair up under that weave. When are you gonna wear your natural hair? When is it gonna be long enough?
Well, I have my hair is I'm wearing, I guess, what some people might classify as a weave, as braids or whatever. I do have natural hair.
But that's Afrocentric.
Yeah, it's easier just to maintain sometimes. Sure. And Al said, since y'all want to correct my TV and movie watching ass, laugh out loud. Did you know the man who played CJ was in the show Knots Landing?
Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
And he committed suicide in real life. Oh, wow.
Well, that's because he was diagnosed with HIV at the time.
Oh.
Yeah.
You two really need to stop watching a lot of TV. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, he died very young.
And so Benny says, I think our cliche description for cooning is only the blatant forms. The blatant forms of cooning, which is the things that are obviously, they obviously piss us off like Steve Harvey, but just like with blatant racist white people are, let's see, racist white people are cool because I can clearly see them, but it's the subtle closeted racists are the ones you have to be on the watch for. Our music, our ideas, and our behavior toward each other, and how we treat our approach to economics, all detrimental to our people, but all concepts highly promoted by us. Yes, indeed. We do.
It's smart, brother.
Yeah, very smart. We do participate in a lot of cooning, not like I said, the obvious kind, but some of it is very subtle. Yeah. I hope that I don't. I need to reevaluate how I coon.
Benny, I just want to say this too, and me and Dee talk about this all the time. We can sit here and do a constant, serious show, and there'll be no viewers.
Right.
I mean, seriously. Right. I mean, and I'm not saying that we got to, we're cooning to get more views. But
you do got to coon.
Yeah, we got to put some comedy in it and make it interesting so that people say, well, what the hell are they talking about?
Make it a little bit
controversial.
Ratchet. Yeah.
Make it a little controversial. And that's the sad thing. Because if we did something straight, nobody's going to want to listen to Black Power, blah, 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 and how great we are. Yeah, it's just sad, but it's the truth.
Maybe I should start the show with me twerking. And then
it blew up. It'll blow up.
Never.
Wait, is there a lens that wide?
No. And Samuel says, 462 years of white supremacy, especially after so-called integration. Yeah.
Yeah, sad.
It's got to end, but it's got to, I don't know. Well, some people say white supremacy and racism has got to start with white people ending it, but I think it's got to start with us. We got to stop buying into the system.
Yeah, let's just. There comes
and he was answering your question.
Yeah,
he says.
Yeah, there just comes a time when you just got to say enough. I'm done.
Enough.
I don't want to play.
Right. Yeah. And Al says I had to admit it. I mean, I think he said I had to admit it, but my fellow light-skinned brother Shamar Moore and Dorian Gregory seemed like they were cooning when they hosted Soul Train. I didn't really watch much when Shamar Moore was on there.
I don't watch award shows.
Yeah, or you talking about when they was hosting Soul Train?
Soul Train, yeah.
It was cooning. Yeah, I didn't. I've seen it a few times.
Yeah, they seemed uncomfortable to me, but
it wasn't Don Cornelius.
Yeah, it wasn't.
It wasn't Don Cornelius. It wasn't Don Cornelius. And then you also say Alfonso Ribeiro, a.k.a. Carlton, coon on the show and question, why did the creator Quincy Jones allow that to transpire? That's a good question. Yeah, because, I think, Carlton was textbook cooning.
Yeah.
That's a good example.
Good point.
I think sometimes he coons in real life, too, if I'm not mistaken. That's a whole other stuff.
He's trying to get word.
So I have a couple of more here that I'm going to get to. How are we doing on time?
We're doing great on time.
We're doing okay. Okay, so Joseph, I don't see him on here. He says, why would an almighty